Range Rover brand new. I was doing good. You done put me in a bad mood.
Never mind what haters say, ignore them till they fade away. Never had one of them days, wish I would've stayed home running to a...
Just allegations just been tossed around about me and my wife.
For years, T.I. was the self-proclaimed King of the South.
Stop looking at what you ain't got, start being thankful for what you do got.
But between his legal troubles,
T.I. and his singer wife, Tamika Cottle, known as Tiny, were arrested on drug charges late Wednesday night.
Marriage drama,
I could just be a better best friend than a husband.
And industry beefs. Has he lost the crown for good? Before he was T.I., the rap mogul was just a kid from Atlanta trying to make $1 out of 15 cents, literally. Born Clifford Joseph Harris Jr. on September 25, 1980, in Atlanta, Georgia.
I grew up in this hood all my life. This is my bedroom right here.
T.I. was raised by his grandparents in the Center Hill neighborhood.
Name was Tip, like a nickname?
Yeah, my father gave me that name. I think he named me that after his father. And that's what my mom called me, my grandma.
And from the jump, hustling was in his blood. By 8 years old, he was already rapping. But let's be real, bars don't pay the bills. So, young Tip started selling candy at school to help his mom.
I also had little side hustles. I sold candy. You know, I did other things to where I could kind of show for some money.
Who was on welfare. And because he was already thinking like a businessman, he worked out a sweet little deal with his teacher, a Snickers bar in exchange for turning a blind eye. Genius, right? But candy money wasn't cutting it. By the time he was in Douglas High School, he dropped out and linked up with rapper Big Country King.
Next step would be to create opportunities, find someone who could help me create opportunities, which would be Jason Jeter in my case.
Together, they started selling mixtapes out the trunk of their cars, pushing their music the old school way.
That's right, that's right, that's right.
Unfortunately, Tip also got into a much riskier hustle, selling dope.
When you were living with your mom, you started getting into trouble.
Yeah.
Started dealing drugs.
Yeah.
That life came with weekly shootouts, jail time every other month, and so much danger that his family forced him to sign a life insurance policy because they were pretty sure he wouldn't make it past 21. But rap was his ticket out.
I got arrested at 15.
Okay. At that point, your mom had to say, what are you doing?
In 1999, T.I. signed his first deal with Arista Records and dropped his debut album, I'm Serious, in 2001.
I'm in it for the longevity. Picture me as one of the greatest that
It was great, all right. The problem? Nobody else was taking him seriously. The album flopped and Arista cut him loose. T.I.P. was the name, but the industry wasn't big enough for two Tips. Since legendary rapper Q-Tip was already in the game,
you couldn't relate.
he respectfully chopped it down to T.I. And just like that, a star was reborn. By 2003, he had signed with Atlantic Records, launched his own label, Grand Hustle, and dropped trap music. And this time, the world was finally paying attention. This album wasn't just music, it was a whole movement. With 24's Be Easy, Rubber Band Man, and Let's Get Away. Blasting through every car stereo, T.I. officially became the voice of the streets. The album went platinum, selling over 1 million copies. And just to prove he wasn't playing around, he launched his own record label, Grand Hustle Records, and has had artists like Young Dro, B.O.B., Doe B, and Iggy Azalea. But back to the music, because T.I. was on a roll. He came back swinging in 2004 with Urban Legend, stacked with bangers like Bring 'Em Out,
Bring 'em out, bring 'em out.
You Don't Know Me, and a SAP.
Made $250,000 in the pen, getting stock tips. Haters wanna stop.
Another platinum plaque in the bag. Then in 2006, he dropped King, featuring What You Know, Why You Wanna, and Live in the Sky, featuring Jamie Foxx. This one didn't just go platinum, it also won him a very well-deserved Grammy for Best Rap Solo Performance. By 2007, T.I. was feeling himself, so he decided to give the world a peek inside his split personality with T.I. versus T.I.P.
Need to get you some money.
An album that explored the battle between his business-savvy side, T.I., and his street hustler past, T.I.P. The album went platinum, secured 3 Grammy nominations, and cemented his superstar status. But that same year, he almost ended his career when he was caught trying to buy illegal machine guns and silencers. The man was literally arrested in a parking lot right before the BET Hip Hop Awards. The feds had been watching him for weeks, and when they finally moved in, it was game over. This almost ended his career, and he was looking at almost 30 years in jail.
You know, my best friend had just gotten killed the year before that, and I was like right now, he died in my arms, you know.
T.I. ended up serving a year and a day in federal prison, and when he got out, he was on probation. But just a few months later, then came 2008, and with it, his biggest album ever, Paper Trail. This was T.I. at his peak, serving hit after hit. We're talking Whatever You Like,
Go wherever you like. I said you could go where.
Live Your Life, featuring Rihanna, and Dead and Gone, featuring Justin Timberlake, all massive chart toppers. The album sold over 2 million copies, and in 2009, he took home yet another Grammy for Best Rap Performance by a duo or group.
How does it feel to win 2? Not as good as it would have felt to win 3, but I mean, like I'm appreciative, man.
Now, if there's one thing T.I. knows better than music, it's getting arrested.
How many times you've been arrested? That somebody decided to do a count. They said 32. Would you argue with that too much one way or another?
I cannot confirm nor deny.
Right.
That same 2009, he got busted on federal gun possession charges. Then in 2010, he and Tiny were pulled over on Sunset Boulevard with ecstasy in the car because apparently taking a quiet drive without illegal substances was too much to ask. That little incident sent him right back to prison, but when he got out, he made an effort to clean up his image. He landed roles in movies like ATL,
I wish you could see what I see.
American Gangster,
Want what you got, Uncle Frank? I want to be you.
Takers,
Here to discuss the future, if I may.
Told you tomorrow, Ghost.
and Get Hard.
Hey, I've seen white people before. My probation officer.
He has even stepped into the Marvel universe, playing a smooth-talking sidekick in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah. Bag it up. Yeah. Bag it up.
And because talking is his superpower, he launched his podcast expeditiously with Tip T.I. Harris, where he sits down with musicians, activists, and comedians to talk about life, culture, and whatever's on his mind.
Hey, Slime. Come on in here, man.
T.I. also turned his family into VH1 royalty with T.I. and Tiny, The Family Hustle. For a minute, it looked like the bad boy days were behind him. So he kept dropping albums like No Mercy in 2010, Trouble Man, Heavy as the Head, 2012,
Mashing in the fan lane, envy in my rear view.
Paperwork, 2014, and Dime Trap, 2018. I mean, they don't call him the King of the South for nothing. The legend is back running Atlanta, hit the streets in 2020, but word on the street is he's cooking up something special for the 20th anniversary of trap music. And knowing T.I., he's coming back with a bang. But music aside, T.I. has got his hands in everything. He runs a record label, 2 clothing lines, a film production company, and a nightclub. He's got his own brand of liquor, a stake in Tidal, and, because why stop there? He even built the Trap Music Museum in Atlanta, the first ever hip-hop museum in the U.S. And when people ask why he's juggling all these hustles, his answer is simple. I've got 7 kids, bro. You can never have too many revenue streams with 7 children. Very valid. But before the rap game, before the business empire, before the Hollywood gigs, there was Tiny. T.I. and Xscape's very own Tamika Tiny Cottle became one of hip-hop's favorite couples when they started dating in 2001. They were young, in love, and everybody's relationship goals. Fast forward to July 2010, and the two secretly tied the knot in Miami Beach. T.I. was 29, Tiny was 35, and the world had no idea that their love story was about to become a roller coaster ride of epic proportions. Not even a year into their marriage, T.I. was thrown in jail for violating his probation with a drug charge. But Tiny, she held it down. Through all the court dates, the headlines, and the drama, she stood by his side, proving that when they said, for better or worse, she really meant it. Then came the Floyd Mayweather mess. Rumors started swirling that Tiny was getting a little too friendly with the boxing champ, and things got real when Mayweather made some slick comments at a press conference that had everyone raising their eyebrows. Before you knew it, T.I. and Mayweather were throwing hands outside a Fat Burger in L.A. Yes, a Fat Burger. The beef was eventually squashed, and T.I. and Tiny insisted that nobody had stepped outside the marriage, even though she has since insinuated that T.I. stepped out one time. But one thing has always been solid: their family. Between them, they have a blended household of 7 kids: Zonique, Messiah, Damani, Deja, King, Major, and Harris, all of whom are practically famous in their own right. T.I. had sons Messiah and Domani with his ex LaShawn Dixon, and a daughter, Deja, with Raniqua Branham, while Tiny had her first daughter, Zonique, with ex Zonnie Pullins, before she and T.I. welcomed their 3 kids together. And just when it seemed like they'd weathered every storm, Tiny shocked the world in 2016 by filing for divorce. Fans were shook. Was this really the end of hip-hop's ride-or-die couple? But here's the real gist. T.I. thought he could out-hustle the IRS because in 2015, he found himself staring down a $4.5 million tax bill from 2012 and 2013. Now, he was still dropping hits, picking up acting roles, and living large, so the math wasn't really mathing. How do you have money for the flashy lifestyle, but not for Uncle Sam? Well, turns out the IRS doesn't take rain checks, and that debt started causing problems beyond just his bank account. And as if money problems weren't bad enough, they started seeping into his marriage. By December 2016, Tiny was over it and hit him with divorce papers, allegedly because of parenting issues with their youngest daughter. Now, was that the real reason, or just the last straw after all the other drama? In true T.I. and Tiny fashion, the divorce never went through.
Fighting it out, we're still here together. See what we had within each other and if we really felt like it was worth it.
But that was just the beginning of the woes this couple was about to face. Let's start from 2019. T.I. said something so outrageous, so jaw-droppingly creepy, that the internet collectively cringed. So apparently, he thought it was his personal duty to make sure his teenage daughter was still a virgin. Yes, you heard that right. While speaking on the Ladies Like Us podcast, he casually dropped that he and his daughter had yearly trips to the gynecologist so he could make sure her hymen was still intact. As if that wasn't bad enough, he then doubled down, proudly announcing that as of her 18th birthday, everything was still in place. And then, because T.I. just loves to make things worse for himself, he joked that people don't like being with virgins because they're no fun. The backlash was immediate and brutal. People called him coercive, controlling, and straight up disturbing. Celebrities dragged him, medical professionals educated him, and social media lit him up like a Christmas tree. But did he apologize? Of course.
I'm beginning to realize that the conversation about Deja on a podcast may have been, and I hold myself accountable.
Then came 2021. You'll need to hold on to your chair for this one. Over 30 women came forward with claims that T.I. and Tiny had been drugging, kidnapping, and sexually assaulting women for 15 years. 15 years. The accusations were ugly, shocking, and straight up horrifying. T.I. and Tiny denied everything through their attorney, but VH1 wasn't trying to hear it. They immediately pulled T.I. and Tiny, friends and family, hustle, off the air.
What you doing in that bedroom?
I'm going in,
What you doing in the bedroom for?
This is still my bedroom.
Hey, man, it might be somebody in there. Wait a minute.
Okay, well, she gonna have to get up out of here.
Then, in May 2021, the Los Angeles police opened an official investigation after a woman claimed the couple assaulted her in 2005. By September 2021, the LA County District Attorney's Office decided not to file charges because the 10-year statute of limitations had expired. So even if something did happen, it was too late to prosecute. But just when people thought the scandal was old news, a new lawsuit popped up in 2024. This time, an Air Force veteran, going by Jane Doe, filed a lawsuit under California's Sexual Abuse and Cover-Up Accountability Act, accusing T.I. and Tiny of drugging and assaulting her in 2005 after meeting them at a nightclub. She said she was invited to a hotel, started feeling dizzy, passed out, and later realized she'd been assaulted. Now, as if that wasn't enough, more women allegedly came forward with even more accusations, including sex trafficking claims across multiple states. T.I. and Tiny denied everything, but not in a way that made them look any better. They hit the world with,
Whatever we ever have done has been done with consensual adults who into what we into and like what we like.
excuse me? Anyway, not a single criminal charge was ever filed. And by 2024, the lawsuit dismissed. T.I. has since tried to present himself as a woke, politically aware voice in hip-hop. He even called himself Tip the Activist at one point. But considering his long history of controversies, including the sexual assault allegations, people definitely side-eyed this transformation. And just when he thought he could finally breathe, he got arrested again. But this time, it was a complete mix-up. He was detained at Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson Airport because police thought he was another man with the same name who had a warrant in Baltimore. I mean, really? Somebody at the airport did not do their homework. Luckily, he was released within hours, and instead of making a big fuss, T.I. kept it pushing, even announcing a show in Alaska right after. But out of all of T.I.'s drama, his latest legal battle actually went in his favor. 2024 was a good year for the 44-year-old rapper and his wife because after years of fighting, they finally won their $71 million lawsuit against MGA Entertainment.
$70 million.
They felt like we deserved, and we couldn't be more happy or thankful.
The toy company had ripped off the image, name, and likeness of Tiny's girl group OMG Girls with their LOL surprise, OMG dolls. T.I. and Tiny were not having it. Tiny, who started OMG Girls in 2009 with her daughter Zonique Pullins, along with Baja Rodriguez and Brana Womack, fought tooth and nail to get justice, and after a multi-year battle, the court sided with them. That $71 million check must have felt like a blessing, and now their net worth is looking a whole lot healthier at $30 million. And after decades of being in the game, T.I. is officially done with live performances. That's right. During an interview with Atlanta radio station 96.1 The Beat, he announced that he's officially stepping away from the stage, with his last major show being the Jingle Ball concert on December 19th, 2023. Now, let's be real. Do we actually believe this? Because if history has taught us anything, it's that rappers love to retire, only to pop back up with a new album, a reunion tour, or some I just had to come back moment. And let's not forget, this man thrives off the spotlight. Between his music, his reality shows, and the many, many times he's made headlines for things he probably should have kept to himself, it's hard to imagine him just fading into the background. Of course, with that huge $71 million court win against MGA Entertainment, maybe he really can afford to take a step back. But knowing T.I., this retirement might just mean less touring and more business moves. Or maybe even another reality show. Because let's be honest, T.I. and Tiny, the retirement hustle, sounds like something they'd do.